Hey y'all, I'm James Wright and welcome to Portsmouth, England. And I am here with, let's see if I can do this without making it fall.
Hello.
My mother and my father. Ooh, can't turn it that far. Get over there.
Hello.
And then of course, the one, the only, the Sarah Wright, the actual, the owner of this channel.
Otherwise known as the garden gnome.
Ah, just the garden gnome.
Thanks, Alan.
So this is going to be a little bit different tonight, as I'm not in my shop. We're getting ready to do the Makers Central. And we're trying to pull this up. So I'm kind of playing with this and do some Q&A here. So if you have any questions, throw them in there while we pull this up, because this weekend we are going to Makers Central, which is in Birmingham, I almost said Alabama, UK.
Yeah.
And, oh, there we go, live. So I can pull up the chat here and see who is talking. So let's pause. Ah, there we go. Chat is good.
Who's the duck?
So, how do I pop this out? Sorry, I'm kind of playing with this now so we can actually read it on here. And what all do we have going on?
What all do we have going on?
Yeah, today we...
Besides being super jet lagged?
Yeah, for us, Sarah hasn't slept in like, what, 36, 48 hours or so. And we are... here, you're the chat expert.
Okay.
Oh, you got it on your phone?
Well,
Never mind.
I can. Which two would you like? to
Whichever
do?
you want.
Well, this is a little easier to read.
Unless you turn it vertically, you might be able to get more. So we flew out of Chicago last night into London this morning, and then we went and saw, what was the castle's name?
Highclere.
Highclere Castle. It's where Downton Abbey
Can they
was
see us? Can
recorded.
you guys see us from this far away? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see on my phone.
Um,
I can't see on here.
Yeah, I paused it so that it's
Oh,
not
okay.
feeding
It'll
through.
be, yeah.
And then, yeah, that's about it today. We went and had fish and chips and went down by the ocean and walked along the beach. And tomorrow
The
we
channel,
are,
as you keep telling me.
the channel. It's not actually the ocean. It's the channel in between
France.
England and France.
France.
Yeah, tomorrow we're actually going to be going to the HMS Victory, which should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to
And the
seeing
fort. And
that.
And the Merry Rose. I was gonna say, put your mama in. Hi.
There you go. That way Sarah can be the center of attention.
But no. Words are all over you.
Yeah, any questions for...
Well, Tim Cheatwood asked how was Downton Abbey.
Oh, it was cool.
Nurses don't need sleep.
Yeah.
Nurses do not need sleep.
Yes, they do, because what you're dealing wasn't very.
Yeah, it was actually really cool because we did the tour inside. You get to walk through the whole place and see where all the videos were shot. But the cool thing for me was actually looking at the furniture and seeing how all the joinery was done and some of the pieces that were hand carved. And you can see the pieces where someone really took a crazy amount of time and they detailed it and they made them beautiful. And you can see other pieces that were prominent that you can tell that the person who was making it was just spitting out the work. And things weren't exactly right, and the carving would be off-centered and things would be one way or the other. It was really interesting to see that, you know, the master craftsman knew when to put the detail in and when to just let it go. It was kind of
But the fun part was watching James get underneath the tables and look up underneath, and watching people look at him like, what in the world?
Well, we do that normally.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, unfortunately, we weren't able to take any pictures, so everything was, yeah, you can't take any pictures inside. You can take all the pictures outside, and I put a bunch of those up on Instagram. And so hopefully tomorrow we can take pictures of the woodworking in the ship, which I really want to take a look at that. I'll be putting up some of that if I can. But yeah, we will be at the HMS Victory. Probably be a little bit rainy when we're there, but we'll see.
And then going to the Seven Sisters.
Yes, Seven Sisters, and then up to London. And so we'll do London for a couple days, then up to Birmingham, and then back down to London, and British Museum and things like that. Lots of fun coming up. Anything I should know?
No, you're not talking yet, Baker Central, we're just hanging
No.
out,
Yeah.
so come say hi.
Yeah, we're just being faces in the crowd. So yeah, feel free to come up and say hi. We were at
Groupie.
yeah.
Highclere Castle.
Highclere
Highclere Castle, and my father struck up a conversation with someone else because of his Packers shirt, and come to find out, the guy watched Wood by Wright, so got to meet a fan while I was there.
An American fan.
Yeah, an American fan in England, and he was here because he was defending his dissertation, so not even for Maker Central.
And he said, you look really familiar. Are you James Wright? Oh. And then I offered that James could give him an autograph, so.
And he'd rather have mine. But anyways, let's see. There was a couple questions. Deepak Amelia asked, wait, where are your kids? At home with grandma.
The other grandma.
My mom.
Spending
She
a week.
needs a very big Mother's Day.
Yeah, really. Mhm.
Spending a week with grandma, and then when my parents get home, they'll watch them for a few days. So yeah, it's weird not having the kids around. It's kind of enjoyable.
It's quiet.
This is
Yeah, if anyone has questions for my parents and want to see anything like that, go ahead and throw those
Who's
up there.
all with you in your room? It's mom, dad,
Dad's off camera because he wants to be on his laptop.
and then
That we don't want to play
Yes.
4 on a couch.
and then you'll be building a boat. Don't give ideas.
Oh, and it will be a steamboat, but anyway.
Now I have thought about actually building a wooden model of some kind. I thought that would make a really good video. Doing take a block of wood and carve a model or make all the pieces that need to go into it rather than buying a kit and having the cutout pieces ready the right size. It'd be a fun project. I don't have any intentions to build a full boat.
Yeah, dad's like Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Pay no attention to the man off the side.
He's doing a lot of writing. Okay, they asked
He's gotta be
how it
careful.
went through customs.
Yeah, perfectly.
Fine.
Well, other than
What is
we had the O'Hare was just an absolute mess. Even the staff at the airport were complaining about how long the line was. And so it took us almost 2 hours to get the security there. And then
Just a comment.
there was a very, very long line at Heathrow, not Heathrow, Gatwick.
Gatwick.
But when she actually got to the line, it was just a couple questions and through, and everything's pretty good. And so, yeah,
You didn't bring any knives or anything through, so they let
no,
you through.
I almost brought my pocket knife. I forgot about it, and then right before leaving, I was like, oh, yeah, take that out and leave it. So I have had to throw away pocket knives at checkpoints before. It's just so used to carrying it.
All right, so an actual question. Jackson Haley, what finish do you recommend for a red oak table?
Boiled linseed oil. But I mean, it depends on what you want to do with the tabletop. Boiled linseed oil is not a protective finish. It can be protective, but it takes a ton of layers and a ton of time, and even then you've got to reapply it regularly. I love boiled linseed oil to bring out the color, but then personally either like a wipe on poly gives a really nice protective finish, or using a hard wax such as Rubio Monocoat. Give a really, really nice finish that it still looks like wood. It doesn't have that plasticky finish, but it's protective. So my dining room table is actually finished with Rubio Monocoat, and my dining room table is red oak, the top of it.
And now you want to ask the master what he puts on his dining room table?
Yes. What did you put on your red oak dining room table?
A whole bunch of layers of coats of lacquer.
Was it lacquer or poly?
Brown.
Lacquer.
Lacquer.
Uh-huh.
Sprayed it on.
Says the power tool guy.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
So we're not doing any classes or demos at Maker Central, but we may live stream.
Yeah, I
So
was
say
thinking
hi.
thinking about doing the live stream on the floor. We'll see how that goes.
Sorry.
I'm just making sure.
It's weird to be doing it on this. For those of you who aren't watching it live, I don't have all the questions down below because, yeah.
Sarah's
I'm
not
computer.
that talented on the table.
It seems to be a lot of
Really?
chat tonight.
Well, they really want you to do a ship in a bottle.
Uh-huh.
That would be a fun one.
That would be really cool.
That would be a good time.
You have other
You
projects
get
you have to
one of the
finish.
gigantic bottles.
Yeah,
That would be, yeah,
Like a-
that'd be cool.
like a 50 gallon, not 50 gallon, like a 5-gallon
Yeah.
water bottles. What's that?
I said you don't need any more hobbies.
I always need more hobbies.
Uh-huh. You can't have too many, sorry.
But a deal we made when you got to do the same. Let's see, okay, Jimmy from, oh, okay. What finish do you use on your bald head in the sun?
And there goes the dad's laugh. The same finish as dad wears.
But my kids keep offering me a quarter to buff my head.
Nothing, because you remember afterwards, and then you're like, oh, it hurts.
And sunscreen, I'm having to remember sunscreen again. I don't have to think about it as much through the winter, but running in the summer, it needs it. Especially when I get like a sunburn and then I go to shave my head and it's like, ah! Yes.
It does sound like that too. All right, we got some very different people on. I'm excited. So welcome. I
Yeah, it's a
know.
weird
in
time.
Europe.
So those of you in Europe,
So names I can't pronounce. So I believe this is Wouter Lusink. Says, hi, there's something I ran into yesterday. How to flatten a board with a number 4 plane. How would you do that? Plane a bit and then use a straight edge to check? Question mark, and so on, question mark.
yeah, if you want to see the full detail, I have like 3 or 4 different videos on different methods of dimensioning lumber. So that's what you're gonna look for, is how to dimension lumber. And you go through a couple different series, because you can use a long plane will automatically tell you that it's flat, because it will only hit the high spots and flatten out a board. A short plane is good for smoothing and doing the final touches on it. A straight edge is a way that you can do it with you can use a small plane to flatten a board and then use a straight edge to see where it's at. But then you're also going to want to use winding sticks that tell you if the board has any twist, so you can see the comparison to those. It's really, yeah, it's not a good one for me to answer right now because I can't really explain it. But definitely go look for that on YouTube. Type in how to dimension lumber by hand, and you'll see several videos that I've done on that.
All right, I skipped this question. So Woodchuck Willie asked, it was unintentional. I am working on an I can't see it.
Anorexic?
No. No, the chair.
Adirondack chair.
Oh, my tired brain cannot.
An anorexic
An
chair.
anorexic chair, that's a good one. Yeah.
Using poplar wood. Any suggestions?
No, I have to confess, I am not a fan of Adirondack chairs. They do not appeal to me, and so I have no desire to make one. And so I'm not a huge, I'm not the best one to answer that, as in the joinery and that type of thing is not one that I've done before. So, yeah.
Using poplar, is that a good one for outside?
Poplar is not a great exterior wood. It's a soft wood and it is not very weather resistant. My choice would be a white oak, because it's white oak, but it's a very weather resistant wood. Yeah, teak if you can get it. Cedar's pretty good. Poplar just doesn't stand up very well to UV. It breaks down pretty quickly in water and UV.
Is there a coating you can put on it that would help it?
Yes, the best way to finish wood for outdoors is to put on a penetrating epoxy. And so it's a really thin epoxy that will soak into the wood, and it creates a hard crust on it, and so that helps out. And then you want to put on a UV finish over it, such as a marine varnish, so some marine quality finish, and that then can coat it and protect it from the sun. But that being said, wood is the large majority of its withstanding the elements. So.
All right, so we have a question for Dad. Is Dad disappointed that you have all but abandoned the power tools?
Let's get it on camera.
Disappointed? No. We all do things different ways, and just because I have a son who's crazy doesn't mean that I'm disappointed in him. I'll keep my power tools and let him keep his hand tools.
one of these days we'll actually get him in to do a live and actually, use the hand tools. So if you want to see that,
But see, he can't complain too much, cause you did surpass 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
there are at least 100,000 other people out there.
That are as
You're
crazy.
not the only crazy.
Yes, Mom can feed the follow-up questions. She's more into the woodworking than,
Well, I was taught by the same master.
yes.
So, yeah.
I'm here for the comment.
Yeah, I didn't say it. Yesterday, just before getting on the airplane, we hit 100,000 subscribers, so.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Wow.
At least
And there
100
was no, did you do any flash lights or anything?
No.
No, when I get back, I'll do some, I
No.
Finger dance,
I have a couple
Finger dance.
ideas.
finger dance.
What was there,
No, do your
super
finger
chat
dance.
or?
No,
Just because
but
you
you
reached
reached
100,000.
100.
Oh, yes, happy dance.
That's
Alright,
really
yeah.
bad, really bad. Or a bad dad joke?
Okay,
I
Dad.
don't know
yeah,
what
how
dad
about
joke
Dad?
was.
Or should he give a bad dad joke?
Well, there was one you just told me the other day.
Oh, I always have a bunch I tell you,
I
but
know.
I forget them instantly.
Okay, somebody suggests that we need to go to a car boot sale, and I would love to. So if you know of any that are in
Yeah,
London now,
London, yeah.
yeah.
That's the problem, is we're not in the country all that much. I just heard about a tool store that's open like 15 minutes east of here, right along the route we're gonna be going tomorrow, but it's closed on Wednesday when we're going through. It's like sad, but I added it to the map, and I'm regularly adding tools to the map. So if anyone out there wants to find local places where to buy hand tools, go to handtoolfinder.com, and I have a list of every tool source I know of to buy antique tools. But yeah, I was really looking forward to coming to England and going to some of the sites, but one of them is too far out of the way, the other one was closed, and then there were a couple others that had just been too far of a drive, so, oh well. Are you coming over?
Nope.
Oh.
He's just trying to get out of that couch.
So Nick Cliff asks, are there any antique hand tools / tool makers you'll be looking out for here in the UK?
Antique tools, no, I don't plan on buying any because then I have to take them back home. I only have so much luggage space. Last time I flew to a tool sale, I actually had to box up stuff and spent like $30-some to ship it back. And it would be a lot more than that to ship it back from here. But who knows, if I find something really special, maybe I'll leave some clothes and bring it home. I'll leave my clothes.
Your clothes. The kids get no British
All right,
gifts.
I skipped this question earlier from Kava S. James, I'm making a bathroom cabinet. I want to use some sort of water-based sealer. However, I'm really thinking about using some sort of dye to make all the pieces same color. What can I use?
Well, one thing you can use is a water-based poly, water-based polyurethane, and it's really easy wood. The only problem that most people have is they put it on too thick. It's very easy to put it on too thick. And so you just brush it thin and it works out well. The nice thing about a water-based poly is you can tint it with water dyes. I've actually seen people use food coloring to tint water. I don't know how well the color holds up over time, but anything that is water soluble can then be used in a water-based poly. And so that's the first thing that comes to mind. And the nice thing about that is it's perfectly clear. And so if you put it on wood, the color of the raw wood comes through. It doesn't darken it like a oil does. And so you can dye it to a very specific color. But as always, test it first. Grab scraps and test what you're looking for. Don't expect things to work out right, especially if you're mixing it.
Touchable picking up and tools.
There was one about the windows. A question about, did you go crazy over the windows at Highclere Castle?
Oh,
I'm
I
the one
missed
that
that
went
one.
crazy over the windows there.
The windows.
The windows, yeah,
Yes,
remember the,
Oh, the carved shutters?
yeah, well, no, the windows themselves were
Oh.
just amazing. But then we loved the carved shutters.
See, I'm looking at all the carving and the crown
Carving.
molding, the ceiling and the furniture and the pieces and the flooring, and the whole place is covered in carving.
Yeah.
And in one of the rooms, the dining room, there's a large chest at either end, beautifully ornate, dripping in carving, and it looks phenomenal, like some master took a ton of time on it. But if you look at it closely, it was slop-shod together carving. But it is so deep on it, there's just so much that it was really kind of impressing how easy you could hide things in there. It was a very, very cool piece. Something you'd never notice unless you really got down close to it, look at it, like, oh wow, he didn't even lay that out, he just carved the thing.
But then we noticed the carving that was,
Around the fireplace.
yeah, around the
Oh,
fireplace.
deep
the-
three-dimensional,
yeah,
like
unbelievable.
flower stems intertwining, and 4 or 5 inches deep of carving and hollow background. Just
And trying to figure out
gorgeous.
whether it was pieced together or
Yeah.
all one chunk.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Alright, so.
Kevin has asked a question.
We
He's,
just answered
oh,
it.
you did? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. All right.
Yeah. Okay, he must have been typing it as I
As you
asked
were,
it.
okay.
Doc wants to know if you have any plans to get it killed.
I need a kilt to go with my clogs. That way I can do like a cross-cultural woodworking.
Oh, that would be scary. Please don't suggest anything more like that. He's crazy enough, isn't he?
Yeah, we were looking at possibly going to Scotland after Makers Central. It just wasn't quite going to work out this trip.
Well,
Maybe we'll be there in like a year and a half.
I'll have
2
to come
years?
back.
Come visit us.
Yeah.
Although I do want to do Ireland, Northern Ireland, through the hills in there. That's high on my list.
Right, so back to woodworking. Jackson Hingley asked, what is your perspective on pocket hole joinery?
Cool. Pocket holes are an ancient thing. Pocket holes go back just about as long as screws. They are hundreds of years old. So don't think that pocket holes are a newfangled thing. They're old. They have their place. Anytime you're doing a cross grain connection, so if you have a stretcher where the grain is going horizontally, and then you have a table where the grain crosses it, a pocket hole is a great way to attach the stretcher to the top. A very secure, strong way of doing it, allows flexibility so as the wood expands and contracts. Works great there. But in doing an end-to-end joint, they're just not as strong. Over time, they weaken slowly and slowly. They come loose faster than regular joinery. But that being said, if you're just building shop furniture, you're building something to throw together and you don't really care if it's going to last 100 years, pocket holes are fantastic. They do great work. So I don't knock them at all. They have their place. I think the only thing is the person who expects a pocket hole built carcass to last 200-300 years and be moved a couple times, it's going to wear out over that.
But how would they know
How would they know?
if it
Over
lasted?
time. Okay, apparently there is a car boot sale it's a Nut Hill car boot sale between Portsmouth and London in Surrey. So on A3, so Jim, you need to look that up on the map and see if we're gonna go anywhere near it.
We
That-
came through there today.
That's what I was thinking through
Uh-huh.
Surrey, yeah, yeah.
Wait.
Next time.
When is it? Is it
They-
an ongoing thing?
This is Oscar Wilkins 11. Do you know when it is, Oscar? That would be interesting.
Let's all wait for Oscar.
Okay, we'll sit here and wait.
And if anyone has, now, if anyone has
Sorry.
things that aren't on my map, let me
Oscar,
know.
buddy,
The
come
apple
on.
doesn't fall from the tree. I've had a couple questions about Paul Sellers. He's not coming, correct?
No, Paul doesn't come to Makers Central. I would love to hang out with him, but just couldn't make it happen this trip.
You heard you were coming.
No, no,
I was afraid
I was looking at trying to find a way to get out there, but it's just not gonna happen, so. It would be a lot of fun to hang out with him, haven't been able to.
I don't call our family together. No, they're even funnier because then Jason's here.
Oh, yeah.
And he.
Uh-uh. There is another question. Let's see. Adil Shah.
Oh yeah, I'll let you try to
Okay.
pronounce that.
In my local town, I have a choice between pine and treated timbers, probably blue gum, but nobody knows. Would either of those be suitable for building a frame saw?
Yeah, well, my first frame saw was actually out of poplar, which is a very soft wood, very similar to most pines, and worked well for that. The only thing I would suggest is make the joinery a bit bigger. So make the beams a little bit larger, a little bit sturdier. The big thing is not the compression strength, because you're pulling those two end beams together. The beam in between doesn't have to be terribly strong. A fairly small piece of wood can hold up that force. The problem is the connection of the joint into those end beams, because the whole thing will want to twist. And if that joint isn't good, when it twists, it'll actually snap the joint off. And that's what happened with my poplar one, is I dropped it, and that little bit of force on the twist snapped the joint. So then I had to make it out of it. Oh well.
So apparently Oscar said it's Sunday, the 12th of May, which is when we're at Maker Central for that car boot sale. Carbonite Gamorian asked, do you like Ruben
Was that Oscar
Wangxing?
was it Oscar that answered that?
Yeah,
Thanks, Oscar.
I would love one more. Ah. But they're not any,
I don't know what a Guangsheng plane is. I'm
Okay.
guessing there's some sort of Chinese plane?
they're Japanese.
Um,
I
I
don't
don't know. I haven't gotten into Eastern planes much. There's a lot of fun traditions out there, but I haven't gotten that far. One of these days, I would like to do Japanese joinery and build a Japanese bench which you sit on the floor, and actually work with tools the way the Eastern methods do. And I think that would be a lot of fun to actually do it, rather than just using part mix and match. So that I would be using like Eastern saws on a Western bench to try and do it all in the historical, cultural way, but not today.
Okay, so Hammer and Neil asked, how crazy do you think James was with all the crazy jobs he had held? So I think it needs to go with a story early in our marriage. To go, do you know which one I'm
Here
thinking?
we go, folks.
To, just so you can understand why I went along with the whole YouTube thing. We'd been married maybe a year or two, we're driving along in the road, and he's like, hon, I've been thinking. Now I'm thinking he's like ready to have kids, look at buying a house, something like this. And no, he gets very serious. No, hon, I've been thinking, I really want to build a water bottle rocket. And he was serious.
I've been putting a lot of thought into this and trying to make a really nice water bottle rocket.
So when he said he wanted to make a YouTube channel or build an airplane or do whatever else he's done, you've washed baby diaper, cloth baby diaper service.
yeah, the diaper
Yeah, I had a diaper service that I ran for a while.
You've been a realtor.
Several comments.
You've been very, what's the word?
I own my own construction business.
Yeah, well, that one kinda goes,
Yeah.
but you have done
I
it.
started a lawn mowing business at what, 9, 10?
Yeah, early on, yeah. But then we had you citing our house at 5.
Yeah,
so-
5.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah. Okay, apparently there is a Surrey Timbers that we need to go see. So I'm writing down things in the comments that we need to look up online to see if we're gonna be anywhere near.
Surrey Timbers.
Surrey Timbers, but I think we've already passed the Surrey area on our way down this direction, and we're making a loop.
Yeah, we're
to
going
the
out
east.
towards, what's the place?
Seven Sisters.
Seven Sisters, there we are. And then going north from there, so.
Mhm.
Anything along that route that's open on Wednesday.
Okay, so Sharif said Laban Guangcheng are Chinese planes copying standard Stanley type styles, I think. Google. Y'all go to Google.
Oh, I know
for
what
us.
you're talking about, yes, those are they're a modern plane, and they're the Chinese knockoff of, knockoff is a bad term for it, they're actually a fairly decent remake of the Stanley plane, made by a Chinese company. I've never actually used them, and I haven't talked to anyone who has used them, I've just heard about them. But from what I understand, they're fairly similar to Wood River, which in that case, great. And Wood River is a Chinese-made version, so yeah. I would like to try them, I just haven't done that yet. One plane I do wanna try is the new, well, they're not really new, they've been out for a couple years. Grizzly actually makes a series of hand planes, and they are really cheap, and they're like 35, 40 bucks. And I've heard people tell me they're bad, and I've heard people tell me they're great. I'd actually like to try it, but I haven't had the chance to do it yet. But there aren't many planes that I trust under $100.
Apparently Wood River is the same factory.
If I remember correctly, there's something like that, that they're tied. Like one name is where they are international, and in the US they're called Wood River or something like
It's
that.
like Aldi's.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's where we get our.
Okay, so JD Works, agrees, he's from France, and he says, just visit Surrey Timbers. So apparently, we need to put that on our.
He comes from France just to visit.
Yeah, just.
So,
I'm looking it up.
so Hashem Hafez says, Sarah, how do you get use of James' talent in woodworking? I can tell you he's come a long way, to be honest, from the first few projects that you made when we were dating. But he did make my engagement ring, and that actually turned out very nice. So not only does he do woodworking, he does.
That's not
That's
what.
not woodworking.
Goldsmithing.
What I'm saying is his talent has progressed, because now I have
A
a
stool.
dresser, yes, I have a stool, I have a dining room table,
Coffee table,
soon to have a bed frame, you know, so I
A
don't mind
floor.
him
all the
practicing.
trim work, all the end table.
But we also have a spoken agreement that he can foster this woodworking talent while also maintaining home life, because
Yeah.
he's the stay-at-home dad. So, you know, he gets to play, but he has to finish his
Woodworking,
chores too.
laundry. Woodworking.
No, that's the one
No,
chore he doesn't do.
I'm not allowed to touch the
Dishes,
laundry.
vacuum.
I'm not allowed to, I do my own
He
laundry.
does his own
I do
laundry.
all my own clothes. I don't touch hers, I don't touch the kids, not because I
He
don't
doesn't
want
see
to,
stains.
but she won't let me touch their clothes, so.
Ooh, good afternoon from Argentina.
Hey, good to have you.
Ooh, hello, Argentina.
There's actually a decent little woodworking group in Argentina.
I would love to know what kind of wood do you use down there?
Argentinian.
Argentinian wood.
Argentine walnut,
Well, no, I'm thinking of when
like Peruvian walnut.
Jim's,
love
well, I was
Peruvian
thinking
walnut.
when Jim was doing fish tanks, okay, that's a whole nother thing. But we had, what was that? We had a special driftwood in there that was like iron,
Oh, it was Malaysia.
Malaysian driftwood.
Yeah, they're real close.
Yeah, they're really, I
I'm sorry. It's like my
And I'm
big
not
head.
jet lagged.
My geographically challenged life.
Hey, listen, I live all over the world. Uh-huh, but anyhow, I'd just be interested to see what they had down there, but all right. So how much European wood and or tools do you plan on filling your luggage on your way home?
I'm possibly meeting with one person to grab a small scrap of English oak to use for a handle. I picked up a Sorby dovetail saw, not Sorby. What is it? It's a British saw company, but it's in bad shape. The brass needs to be re-cleaned, the plate needs to be retused, and the handle is broken, the nuts are bad. So it needs a whole workout, but I'd like to actually replace the handle with something from where the saw was made.
I'm sorry, you just described the whole thing, it's like.
I was like, I don't know if it
what-
needs a
what did you
woodworker
pick up?
or a dentist.
Sorry.
This is
what
our
you get when you get the
normal
whole family, all right.
Now, I don't intend to bring much home, but we'll see.
Ah, okay.
I only have 20 kilograms I can put in the check bag.
And we're already at 18. You have
So-
a very small window.
So, Keva says it's mostly exotic woods from Brazil and Argentina, but are they exotic to the Argentinians? Are they really? That's just, I don't know. They're exotic to us.
Yes.
Yeah, for us, redwood doesn't grow on trees, but you know, in South America, it does grow on trees.
Yeah. In China, you
What?
don't eat Chinese food, you just eat food.
I don't know. Do you
Well,
think
to give you an idea, I got a scrap of walnut that's 2 inches thick. Actually, it's a little more than 2 inches thick by almost 7 inches wide by like 4 foot long. And you know, most people would consider that to be an actual, you know, solid, massive beam of walnut. Well, it was a scrap because I literally pulled it out of a dumpster. It was scrap. It was going to be burnt or thrown away.
That's sad.
And so I made a video making sloyd hooks where I chopped out a large chunk of it that just became waste, showing how to make sloyd hooks. And it was a piece of wood that was the right size for it. And I got raked over the coals for doing it because I was getting rid of that much actual walnut. And well, to me, walnut grows on trees. It's all around.
Walnut
It's
is
scrap.
It's true.
Yes, I
This isn't grow on trees, it is a tree, honey.
We need to explain this to you. Trees, wood slabs.
know. Yeah, in my area, walnut is actually cheaper than maple.
Why are you?
So
Mm-hmm.
it's not that much more than the red oak. So
So Switch and Lover wants to know if you should bring anything from Italy or Giaco. Yes. What does my last maiden name mean? Savarino. I've never been able to figure that out. I would love for someone to
It
figure
means loud family.
No, that's just Italian in general.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can't tell I'm a quarter Sicilian. As pasty as I am.
Just dump the clothes and insert tools. That's what the duck says.
Yeah. And then no, well then Duck wants to know, wait, why you're not trusted to do laundry?
I don't see stains. I cannot. I do not see people's hair color. I don't see stains. I don't see fashion. Those are just things that my brain doesn't
And
compute.
if James does notice those things, then you know something's wrong. If James makes a comment about the way you look, you may want to reconsider.
Oh, wow, okay. Gary, well, you have all these people that are coming apparently to the makers,
Well, it's in
And
the
they're-
Europe areas. There's a lot of
yes,
people
but-
coming over for it.
but they're all gonna bring you a chunk of wood from their country. Gary Wall says, will you be going on a run while you're there?
I'm planning on it. Yeah.
Okay, and then he adds to it, I'll bring you a small chunk of oak cut down and used in a building in 1530.
Sounds like a
That
place.
would be cool. That would be really cool.
Yeah, you might have to buy another suitcase.
Yeah, you know? We're going back. Oh, but that we're going back.
You're gonna
before you.
already be.
Sorry. Well, we'll take your clothes back.
You'll take the dirty clothes you've gone through.
But no stains.
No. I trust Mom to do laundry.
Yeah.
Let's see, and then Sharif will give you some Welsh oak or sweet chestnut.
I've never worked with chestnut. That's
Okay, there you go. Chestnut it is.
Yeah, yeah.
One never intends to
You
bring.
saw a
some
lot of
food.
it today. But,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Savarino. Well, it's actually, well, we spelled it ER here, but I know AR is, but yes.
Okay, Matthew
Oh, I haven't got that.
Totterton says, don't see fashion, I've seen your clogs and sock combo.
Yeah.
Don't knock the sock.
We didn't say he didn't rock the
He
dad
did
bod.
not get that from his father. Oh dear.
I just meant, well, yeah, I'm just saying that, yeah, as a female, so that your dollar's safe, cause he won't pay attention.
Okay, and the duck says colorblind or just the way his brain works. Okay, I have to tell you, when James was a child,
Mostly correct.
young teenager, I used to take him shopping with me, and he had great taste in clothes and color,
Married.
but then he got married. And the same thing happened with his
It's cause he's
father.
afraid of getting in trouble.
Well, I mean, no, You know, a lot of people say I'm bad with names, I'm great with faces. I'm horrible with faces. I cannot remember what anyone looks like. I can't remember what hair color they have.
Can you remember their names?
No.
No.
I will talk with someone for a good hour and I will hear their name 20, 30 times and I'll walk away and I can't remember their name, I can't remember their hair color. I can generally remember if it's a guy or a girl. Those are, you know, the big things that stand out, but,
That's good.
Oh, come on, Bob, you're better than that.
I mean,
That's
Yeah.
why I'm here.
and, yeah, I have fairly good color memory, but I don't, spotting differences in shades is not very,
He's not colorblind
No,
now. No.
he is maybe selective in what he chooses
Well,
to see.
that's a
And here.
quality, but anyway, okay.
like, there are no stains on me right now, just don't worry.
And he just ate too, so. Maybe you could make a new suitcases to bring your wood back in. So while you're at Makers, you can just whip up a couple new suitcases.
Alright, so Kevin asked, sorry, I know I ask a lot, but have you ever had any experiences with a wood called Kingswood?
I have not.
We're from America, there is no.
We have presidents in
President's
wood.
wood.
There's wood older than our country.
Yes, yeah, this one's from 1530, come on. Uh-huh, yeah.
Sorry.
And Oscar says, have you used the pole lathe?
Yeah, I actually just had it, I turned a couple wands on it and I turned the trophies that I did a video not too long ago on that.
And then didn't you just take it?
Yeah, I just did a demonstration up in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and we went through pole lathe history and function. I don't use it that much because it works best as an outdoor tool, and I don't have much space in my shop, so it's usually disassembled, and so the need to reassemble it, put it all together, and get it working again usually means that I don't want to mess with it, so I just don't do any turning. But one of these days I want to actually build an exterior shop and have a spring pole lathe and have a shave horse and all that type of stuff. That'd be a lot of fun. Haven't gotten there yet. A lot of things I'd like to do one of these days.
Here's another question for you about your spring pole lathe. I can't remember what the head and tail stock you used. That's from DeBacca Maker.
Yeah, I used just a live center, a standard live center, like you would normally put on the tail stock of the regular regular lathe. I just put one on both sides. Historically, all you need is a sharpened point, and so you have a lot of people with just a steel rod jammed into a wooden block, sharpen the steel rod to a point, and there you go. The wood just literally slides on that point. But having the live center just makes it a little easier.
Switch and Lever asked, what's the oldest wood you've worked with?
Looking forward to hanging out with you, Switch and Lever. He'll be at the Maker Central. The oldest wood I've worked with, I have no idea.
How old was our house, Jimmy? Built.
It was 1925.
Okay.
I've worked with older than that because our house in Watertown was
Yeah.
late 1800s.
Mhm.
But actually, like woodworking, not that old, like 30, 40 years, if that. So I take that back. I worked with some bog oak. Bog oak has been sitting in a bog for hundreds of years, so who knows how old it is. Some are saying that it is over 1,000 years old that's been sitting in the bog for. So, yeah. But yeah, that's I think the oldest thing.
It's just like,
Oh, Duck, I never dropped him on his head.
Dad might have.
Not that he would ever confess to. No. Mm-mm.
Never on the
He was
head, on
never
the side, on the bottom, on the back, on the front. A face plant once or twice.
Face plants.
Okay. Do you wanna ask the Cheatwood Creations question?
Have you tried to get Dad to delve into making YouTube videos?
Well, that's scary.
No, he does, he talks in front of live audiences all the time, but not YouTube. Yeah. Yeah, not audiences that talk back to him very often, so.
They don't leave thumbs up and thumbs down.
No.
JJ would do that in the middle of a service.
Yes, yes. Okay,
For those of you who don't know,
Yeah, I
my
was gonna
father is
say.
a missionary, so,
He's been a pastor
itinerant.
for many years.
yes.
so he preaches, so, yeah, having thumbs up and thumbs down while preaching.
You know,
is
that
not
would be
really what he goes
very
for.
interesting. I'm surprised it hasn't taken off in some
Yeah.
churches.
Well, there are a lot who put their sermons on YouTube now, so.
And, yeah, he has them out there, but, yeah, not on his own channel, yeah.
Oh, they still want you to make a Windsor chair.
A Windsor chair.
That, it's on my list. I want to make a really lightweight rocker, high back, with really thin spindles. That's on my list.
And spindles,
Really,
Yeah,
you know, like a,
Patriot.
yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh, okay, like on the Patriot, all right, yeah.
Yeah, I would love to do that and actually
Minus
go
the
from,
lower.
you know, log to Windsor chair.
With only an axe.
And not a chisel? Oh.
The axe will make it.
But will you carve into each spindle the Celtic knot? That's the important thing.
You can dust. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Does
I
he
think
know
we have enough time for
great
another
John
3 or 4
Wesley? Well, I'm pretty
questions.
sure he's been dead for a while.
This
So
can be
personally,
great,
I don't
Jim.
think so.
Hmm?
Do you know the great John Wesley, the great Wesleyan preacher? Do you know him personally?
Well, not personally.
He's really not that old.
I've read his stuff, sung his songs.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, yeah. We do know of him. Yes, we do. Mhm. Wonderful mama.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm. Your viewers want to see that rocker. That's what Chetwood Creation says. Mhm.
And they want Dad to narrate some documentaries, which he does that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
he does voiceover work.
our other son.
Is he fun? Yeah, my brother is a full-time voiceover artist. But my parents also do some of it on the side.
His voice is so deep and calm.
Where do you think I get it from?
It's the laugh.
You gotta remember, coming into this family as an outsider for me.
And you were the first outside.
I was the first outside.
Yeah. Uh-huh. But I don't think James would say that his voice is calm all the time. There were times growing up where Dad's voice wasn't quite so calm. Mhm. Okay, so Peter says, thanks, I was taught in a Wesleyan chapel here in the UK.
Oh, really?
How cool is that?
Yeah. Where?
Yeah, where? Peter, tell us where. Mm-hmm.
Sven Holm? I don't know if I'm saying that right, Sven. How are your wood bending techniques?
I haven't done a lot of wood bending. I've done some bent lamination. I've done steam bending a couple times. That's something I'd like to get. And that's actually, I have a steamer in the shop that I want to make a steaming box. Again, it's another thing on my list. I was really wanting to create a toboggan, a bent toboggan for the kids this last winter, but didn't work out. So hopefully I'll have it together so I can do it for that one. But I want to get a red oak log and hew out the pieces for it and make a toboggan from the log. I think that would be a lot of fun.
It would.
So Peter says, Copy or Copy Hillock, North Yorkshire.
North Yorkshire. Okay, we're gonna have to look that one up. Douglas Dyer, you're from Decatur, Alabama.
Oh,
spend some
That's where
time with
my
the kid.
mama and daddy lived.
that's where our base
That's where
is.
our base is, our mission board is in
Baptist World
Decatur.
Mission.
Yeah, Cool. Say hey to everybody down there.
I lived there for about 3 months,
Yeah.
did construction work down
Okay, where was this place, where the?
North Yorkshire.
North Yorkshire, Hewick. Copy Hewick. I'll write it down.
Think we got time for a couple more? Or do we have any more?
You might need what for your rocking chair?
Oh,
From
that's
spin.
way up there.
Oh, probably the
Oh,
steamer.
the bending techniques, you're gonna need that for your rocking chair?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. No, and I wanna do a continuous bent arm. So it's one piece of the arms, then bend into the back all the way around. So you have like an 8 foot long that has a dual bend in it. And I think that would be a lot of fun to do.
We're scheduled to be up in Wrexham, Wales, in 2022, which is not too far from North Yorkshire.
Oh, it's that far away, okay, cool. Mhm.
So, Oscar's going to Yosemite, anything that he should know?
Yosemite, I haven't been there
I was gonna say,
in
I
how
have.
long? When did we go there?
We went there in 2002.
2002? It's been a while. I wanna go back there, a lot of great running. Just haven't had the chance to get back out there.
I'm sure that's.
Oh, there's some phenomenal trails.
You know, there's like not anything about Old Faithful,
No, that's
Buffalo.
Yellowstone.
Is it? Oh, never mind. See, I've never been
It's
there.
been even longer since I've been Yellowstone.
You thought I was graphically challenged, no, geographically challenged.
Hi from South Beloit.
Yeah,
Hey.
Matthew David Hansen.
David Hansen?
Matthew David Hansen. Are you the Matthew David Hansen that we already know? Maybe?
South Beloit.
So
I thought
Beloit?
it was Ian.
I don't, yes, I think it was. Yeah, you're right.
Have you met any of your friends and fans and just one?
Yes, actually met someone today at Downton Abbey, Highcliffe Castle.
Hi, Claire.
What?
Hi, Claire.
Hi, Claire.
High chair,
High chair castle.
High chair castle.
castle.
As voice to text said today on Instagram. High
We're
chair
gonna
castle.
blame it on voice.
Yeah, I'm chair.
We know your spelling, they know your spelling.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We all have our strengths and weaknesses.
Alrighty, my dear, I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you.
That's
got
okay,
all
get
of
lost in the back.
It's 10 o'clock here.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, well, I will be, I don't know if we're gonna have a live next week, because we will be in London doing sightseeing, so stay tuned, we'll let you know. I may end up just skipping a week, which I haven't done in like a year and a half.
Maybe we'll just do a meetup and just have people come join.
Maybe. So we'll play with that. I don't know what we'll be doing, but stay
Well, that'd
tuned.
be cool. Meet up in London.
Um,
Find a nice pub.
yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you all at Makers Central this weekend, and we'll be having a lot of fun. Anything to say before I go?
No,
Cool. I think that's about it.
one more deep voice. I wasn't so deep.
No.
Okay, I think that about does
I
it.
sound like the camel from listening.
Have a nice day.
Until next time, have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Oh, now I gotta find the
I'm
stop button.
waiting to.
Where is it here?
There were no